Multimedia is formally defined as content that uses a combination of different content forms such as text, audio, images, animations, videos, and interactive content. A multimedia segment can be a great addition to a piece of writing. However, there are many things that need to be examined when adding a multimedia aspect. Some things to acknowledge are considering what you intend your piece to be delivered on, what kind of writing you are doing, what is this going to add to your story, who is your target audience, and the idea that multimedia aspects need to be engaging. Multimedia usually starts online. They include many things like photos, videos, maps, graphs, and interactive sims. They add a certain depth to writing that a normal piece of writing might not have. Writers need to be careful when using multimedia in their pieces. Multimedia works really well in online articles, ads, and online newspapers. If an author's goal is for their writing to end up in a book or a magazine, using multimedia might not be such a good idea. Multimedia usually doesn't work very well with physical books, magazines, and newspapers because it loses its interactive abilities. Multimedia has the ability to add a great deal to writing, but writers just need to consider what their end goal is. Different types of writing require different aspects to be added to their writing. For example, a novel typically doesn't contain anything besides words, whereas an online magazine article contains tons of multimedia material. When authors are debating on whether to add a multimedia aspect, they need to acknowledge what kind of writing they are doing. Like I previously stated, if someone is writing a novel, a multimedia edition might not make much sense. However, if an author is writing an online magazine article or a history book, multimedia can be a great addition. When using multimedia, it is important to think about what this is going to add to your story. Multimedia adds an interactive expression that many writings do not contain. Writers need to think about if multimedia is actually going to be helpful to the writing or more of a distraction. For example, if someone is writing a statistical analysis report, adding an addition of a multimedia like a graph or a chart might make more sense of the statistical analysis report to the general public. However, if you are writing a story in a novel, adding a random photos or pictures might not add any additional depth to your piece. Identifying your target audience is very important. If you are writing a piece that is intended for the older generation, multimedia additions might not provide the effect that they are intended to provide. For example, my grandfather typically reads his news on a paper newspaper. One day, he decided to read his news online. He Googled his local news station and was very confused when regular articles didn't pop up. Instead, it was a combination of videos, articles, photos, and internet polls. He got really upset that he couldn't simply read the news and has since sworn off all online news sources. I know that this is a bit of a dramatic situation, but it is still important for authors to consider who they are writing for. Writers might want to steer clear of multimedia editions if their intent is to write for the older generation. However, if their target audience is for the younger generation, multimedia adds a great addition. Finally, multimedia needs to be engaging. Multimedia needs to be able to provide some sort of depth to whatever it is being added to. For example, in the article Snowfall, it contains several aspects of multimedia through pictures, maps, interactive activities, phone calls, and interviews. All of these provided a type of emotion when reading that you simply cannot receive through basic words. You are able to hear the emotions in the voices of the people during the phone calls and interviews. You are also able to visually see things through the interactive activities. This is just one example of properly used multimedia. Multimedia can be an incredible asset to a piece of writing if it is engaging and related to the writing. Multimedia is a new and upcoming form of writing. It adds emotion and depth to writing. If all of these aspects are considered when deciding whether to use multimedia, some pieces of writing can be truly amazing. Thank you.